And we've got, oh, we have our sound too coming through. So they can hear us.
All right. Get your screen up. There we go. Cool. What's going on, all of our loyal viewers? Sorry, getting things set up. It looks like we're good to go. Let's see. Let's have you freeze up on me. All right, you good, man?
All good.
Cool. Let's share my screen with you and we'll get started.
Watch stream. And now the view is kind of.
Yeah, I'll fix you now.
Yep, got it.
All right.
Cool. Go.
Coach Mitch. What's up, bud? Yeah, let's hit play. So, I don't know if Gavin's in the chat right now, but we're gonna start with him. And get through his potato footage. So, he got taken down early in the start of his match. And you're gonna see that he stays there pretty much for the duration. One thing he did really, really well, and I've commended him on this a million times already, is his guard was basically impassable. And this kid, Marquise, who he's going against, didn't really have much in the way of guard breaks as far as getting him to scramble. You saw there briefly a few seconds ago. Well, just now he got penalized. Marquise got penalized for stalling because he wasn't really making any attempt to open the guard up.
Even get out, right?
So,
I'm proud of Gavin for like going for grips, right? He's trying to go for 2-on-1s.
Yeah, he was listening really well, and that's
Good.
that's honestly, I muted all of these videos because one, it's a lot of just like background noise, but it's also me, screaming a lot of the same stuff at him, and he was really doing the best he could, right? So you see,
Look at
Marquise
that,
almost passes the guard, and Gavin
But he gets it back.
did a killer job, of just getting that shin across, getting his knee back pointed to the sky, and locking up his guard.
Constantly going after the hands. There's like nothing worse than watching a match where the person on bottom just kind of sits there and does nothing with their arms or legs, trying to attack from guard.
Yeah. Now the one thing I was working on with him yesterday after class and telling him where he needed to improve, because a closed guard is great, right? It's a we always talk about how that's
Another
kind of the
great
foundational.
retention right there.
What was that?
Another great retention right there.
Oh, yeah,
Him coming around.
I mean, he's almost
Doing
like
great.
inverting, keeping the knee in as Marquise tries to get to north-south. So it wasn't just fully in close guard the whole time. But the thing that he really needs to work on is getting getting the arm across the body. He was really trying to get that like 2-on-1, both arms on the same side, but then opening your guard, getting to your hips, cutting your, getting to your side rather, cutting your ankle, and then working from that side scissor position. There, he kind of, I think he went for a
hip bump sweep.
A hip bump sweep. And yeah, I don't know what the other dude was thinking, but that was the extent of their match, right? So it was Gavin almost got his guard pass. Well, I can't even say that. He dealt with the threat of it and came out on top and didn't really have to worry about it. So I was pretty proud of that. I always tell our white belts, if your guard is good as a white belt, that's great. That's exactly what we want to see. Like really good defensive posturing, positional escapes, and escaping to guard. So.
Yep. Yeah, couldn't agree more.
And he wasn't too bummed about it. I mean, he lost on points on a takedown, so he went out here with the best of intentions. This guy Brody that he's up against. Goes for a little toss there, kind of exposes back for a second, but just didn't have him off balance enough to really try to hit a hip throw.
I'm glad he's going for it though, right? Like,
yeah.
Again, you get into competitions and a lot of people stall out. They don't go for takedowns. I'm proud to see that he's going for it, right?
Right. So yeah, Brody got the takedown, and then a brief. I'm gonna scroll back actually. He got the takedown and then a brief pass, I believe. It might be, I think, yeah, right here. We're blocked by the timekeeper. He got 2 points.
Okay.
Just prior to that, and then now you can see Gavin making his way back to guard to work. Fast forward back to where we were. So, he's fighting that. I think I was yelling at him, wrist elbow, not just kind of a 2-on-1 wrist grip is great, super effective, but mixing your grips up a bit and then the knee, adding the knee pull in. There he went for a hip bump sweep, but I think Brody was a little too far over his weight over Gavin to really be effective. And then this kid at least was focusing on the hips. It looked like he was trying to pin his hips there to create some space and to break guard. But I mean, my philosophy on seated guard breaks.
Yeah, and there's a reason why it's not working, right?
Yeah. Did we get Luke in the mix here?
Yep.
All right, let's pause this real quick and adjust the screen. Where are we at? Bear with me, everyone. What's up, Luke? Can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can, but I can't see you.
All right. So I'm on the web app. Now it's opening the app, the regular app. So hopefully it gives me, just pull me right in 2 seconds. I'm hoping.
Cool. Let me get you into the broadcast here.
Let's see. Coach Matt. So.
Yeah, I can't shred like I used to, Mitch. Maybe one day I'll just jump on without telling anybody. I'll just pick up the guitar and play.
Am I giving feedback? Is that me?
I hear you. No, you're fine. If you've got Twitch up, then it's gonna be. We're gonna hear it in the background.
Yeah, I normally mute Twitch on my end just so that I can monitor the chat.
I don't have Twitch up.
Oh, okay.
I'm a simple man. You know that. Video.
Can't wait for you
it's dark.
see what the chat has to say about all this. Hey, there you are. Great lighting.
I clearly need more lighting here, but I'll get that fixed.
Let's see. We're all struggling a bit here.
Mostly just me.
No, our
Oh, but now
broadcast
it's
looks
got-
absurd right now. There's two of me.
Yeah.
It sucks. I can't or maybe I can. I'm trying to get you guys on the Discord like in the same frame. There we go. Let's move this. Get me out of here.
Oh, nice.
Lovely. Now if I could just get you guys to stop freezing. There we go. Put that down.
Sweet.
All right, so
I think we're rolling.
Luke, can you see the footage?
Yep.
All right, so we're going
Yeah,
over
sure.
Gavin's matches right now.
Okay, cool.
This is gonna be a pain. So this is Gavin's second no-gi match. And we were talking about how, he had a killer guard. This kid he's going against was the first of the two that he went against that actually seemingly tried to break his guard open a bit. Here he's hanging out kind of low with that leg, but Brody, the other kid, didn't take an opportunity to step over. But he worked a lot of that pinning the hips, the seated guard breaking. And okay, that was the end of that. So I think Gavin's dad was taking the footage on this on Gavin's iPhone 2. So yeah, he lost that match 4-0, but again didn't get it. Briefly got his guard pass in the beginning right off the takedown, and then here it's easy for him to get out of frame because no one's watching.
It looks like a double leg tackle type of takedown.
Yeah.
I mean, I like it. He's always going after these 2-on-1 grips, right? He's constantly trying to pull. I think if there's anything to call out in terms of improvement is that you can notice that he's not really using his legs to pull and draw the person into him as he's trying to cut the arms across, right?
Yeah.
And I think that if he adds that little bump coming in, I think he could have be more effective with those 2-on-1s.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think in closed guard in general, you really need to use 2-on-1 grips. You need to use your legs in tandem. It can't be one or the other. You kind of have to do both at the same time. And then, like we always talk about, at some point when you want to start to set up attacks, you're going to have to open your guard, right? You got to commit and open your guard, and then be willing to recover or maybe get past.
Yeah, exactly.
He's got about another minute left on this match. But
So
yeah,
this guy here is trying to do lapel chokes from the inside, and I mean anyone who's in the chat that we've taught and everything, right? Gavin could have gone up if he opened up his guard. He could attack for arm bars. If the guy pulls his arm back, he's got triangle chokes there. What the person on top right now is leaving himself open for his attacks, right? So you should never, when you're doing that, if anything, you're going to be pinning your arms to the person's chest and keeping your elbows in nice and tight towards the hips. Not allowing somebody to pull them across and swing their legs over for arm bars.
yeah, Gavin's doing a good job of controlling posture too.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't seem like he's letting those strangle attempts phase him too much. Especially for if there are any white belts listening, if you have someone in your guard and they're going for collar strangles on you, all they're really truly doing is isolating their own arms. They're not really in a threatening position at all. There's basically nothing to worry about. All right, that was Gavin, perfectly in sync, ending with the music. Give me a second. Let's get who do we have in the chat? curious if we got. I know we got Mitch here. Do we have Steven here at all?
Yep.
Discord is fucking killing
We
me
do.
today. Sorry, I'm just trying to stop you guys from freezing while I can see what's going on in chat. What's up, Steven? All right, let's do Mitch, we're gonna save you because you have like 50 matches, so we'll get to you in a second. So hang tight, bud. All right, cool.
Oh, this one's the brutal one. This poor kid. This poor kid. He was trying to grow hair, and Steven made sure he never will.
Little oil
so
check
bad.
from Steven there.
Oh, yeah, just right in the top mount, and then it immediately starts to isolate an arm. Doesn't wait at all. Just goes for it, right?
Yeah. You love to see it.
Beautiful transition to the back, and I think he flattens him out here. Oh, nope, finishes taking the back. And then, that's where he flattens him out right there.
Yeah. And you can tell he's going for a body triangle the whole time. He's not messing around with hooks and everything. He's getting a really, like right there, he's just super
He's
engaged.
going for the kill.
And then even here I was kind of worried because like he's getting on his side a bit. But Steven had the choke, and I think he knew it.
I think at that point Luke was telling him to arch, right? And Steven did exactly that, right? Arch back, and it was definitely enough. There it is.
It was just it was just so close, right? He was kind of side riding, but that arch just brought it on home. And what was that, like 30 seconds? I mean, that was a super quick match.
Yeah,
it was a good opener for sure.
It was a good opener. That poor guy didn't have a coach. He showed up just full of piss and vinegar, and it didn't work out well for him, unfortunately.
A little weak outside trip there. Steven immediately attacking the guillotine or the front headlock.
He doesn't give him the takedown here, right? Like he gets back up to his feet, and then on his terms he goes down to guard.
Yeah,
he did a really good job. Can you back that up for a second? He did a really good job of constantly, like on the few attempts, he got right back up, and the ref made the right call, right, in not calling points pretty consistently because Steven kept kind of getting back up and re-engaging, and then eventually, to your point, right, then he pulled, and then immediately initiated an offensive technique, which was fantastic.
Yeah, nice single leg X entrance. Really good job watching the reap at first. I mean, you're not torquing on his knee right now, and right there. So let's go back. This has been a topic of discussion. Was there a tap? Right?
Boom, boom.
We're just gonna focus on this for a second. In fact, I could slow it down. So let's do that. So Steven, you got the knee line, you got his knee within your knee line really well here. And this is where I think it started, right? He's rolling for his escape. He gets to right here. And for a second, he's like, I got to tap on this, right? I wish the footage was a little less blurry here so we could see exactly how his foot was torqued, what your grips look like here. But This guy, I can't remember his name now. Super nice guy, really cool. Doesn't seem like the kind of guy who would like pull a BS kind of move like that. I genuinely think what happened here was his heel slipped right at the time he felt like he was in the most trouble. He was probably thinking, I might need to tap here. He goes to tap, he slips the heel, and it wasn't enough of a thing to alert the ref. You could see. Let's go back a minute. Right here.
Yeah, those taps happen so quick, especially on heel hooks. The ref doesn't always see. I mean, that was a quick tap, right? I mean,
yeah, and right here,
I can see how that would be called.
I was yelling at Steven to we're going back to regular speed to invert and try to recapture the knee because he slipped his leg out at this point.
So here is this would have been the prime time, right? Like, so Steven's doing a really good job if we go back of getting his hips up but it just needs to be that little bit more, right? Like he needs here. I think that's about as high as his hips go, and the hips need to come up to basically match your opponent's hips here in order to reclaim that knee line. And that was, I mean, but again, he's doing everything. Top guy is doing everything that he can to push down on the legs to clear his knee line. You know, this was a good battle. I thought this was a good match.
Amy there, fighting up to top position, not really sweating the front headlock.
Yeah, Steven, you should have gotten submission attempt points there. Yes, I think. I mean, you had you had a clear submission. I think that was worth at least 2 points.
One point, I thought that was 1 point.
It's 1 point.
Yeah, it's awarded. It was 1 or 2. It depends on how deep the submission is.
No, I didn't even see anything.
It was subjective. Yep.
I'm gonna go back real quick. I just want to look at what was going on the feet. So I mean, right there. Nice. There was an opportunity for a back take, a standing back take, or getting behind, just shooting around. He may have spun close enough or spun around quick enough to shut that down, but something to keep in mind when you're standing. You go for that stuff all the time, Steven, so there's really no need to break that down too much. And then here, I think I was probably yelling at you to hit your standing guard break. I said inside bicep ties. Don't worry about the dummy sweep. But I didn't expect this from him, to be honest. It was like he was initially going in on a leg. And then just a nice sweep there. You were a little up over top.
Sweep?
What was that?
Okay, so it was It was
yeah, Steven's hips are over his.
Scissor sweep.
A little out to the top, yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty basic scissor sweep. And then this kid just had he had a really sharp armbar. I mean, he hit 5 of them that day. I'm gonna go back to this. So
watch his top leg though, the head side leg, the cross-face leg is strange, and I know Steven and I were talking about it. Steven slipped his head out, and the guy was still able to get the break.
So he did. I think we'll see in a second, but I think he did the that shoulder senkaku. I think Gordon Ryan calls it. Yep. But yeah, right here, he's got your back off the mat. He's pinching his knee in to keep that shoulder isolated. Cuts his corner. I'm if you can hit a quick armbar like that, great. Even, I don't know, maybe it's just me because I'm light. I like to try to be as slow and deliberate as I can, because I know right there is where a lot of guys are going to slip out. But it worked on you today for that one. And then if you're going to do the hitchhiker escape, the time is right now, right? I know it's difficult in the moment, but I think the hitchhiker was a little, if that's what you were trying to do, it may have just been a little slow execution here. He is digging in with his heels. You start to go here to get your head out, but then we can't really see it. I was gonna say you
could see his left foot comes over top of the shoulder.
Yeah, which really,
see that?
Yeah,
right there.
In fact, that's kind of, I don't even think that's this right here. So he slipped his foot over. I'll try to capture it right here, right? So what that's doing. In fact, what's weird is when I've seen Gordon do that, he does it with the feet behind. Yeah, he does the feet behind the head, not under the body. But I mean, either way, a senkaku on the or a triangle on the shoulders, it's done in an effort to shut down that hitchhiker, shut down the rotational escape.
I think you're right though, Matt. As far as hitchhiking, I think he kind of missed the opportunity to do that, right? It was quick armbar. I think that by the time it was hyperextended, the time had already kind of passed for being able to hitchhike through. He had too much control of the wrist, and the armbar was really deep at that point. I don't know. For me personally, I would have tried to use my other hand and capture I wouldn't have tried to hitchhike out of that just because it came on so quick. And you just got to be pure defense mode at that point. And I mean, he might get a solid armbar. I think to your point, that day he hit almost every single one of his submissions by armbar. So I'm sure he had a game plan from that top position, and he got up there quick. You know, using that left knee to drive up the shoulder, and then spin around. When you take him out, he drives up that tricep. He gets a little bit of elevation there, and then uses his left knee to kind of pin the shoulder before he spins. It's, you know, it's just good timing, good transition on that thing.
Yeah, and for what it's worth, like late armbar escapes that I've seen when it's just beyond the point of the hitchhiker, beyond the point of even being able to clasp your hands back together, your free hand, so in this case your left hand, you know, if you feel like you've got some wiggle room to disrupt his break, your left hand can kind of take a V grip to the ankle of the leg that's over your face, right? And you as a last ditch effort, you would try to get that leg off of your head and then get your head on top of that leg and drive your shoulders through to the mat, or disrupt his ability to control your head and your shoulders to try to get out. But again, that's like super late escape. You're kind of trading off. I mean, it's like when Gordon and Craig had their match back at like EBI, and Craig armbarred him, and he took the break at that point because it was that late of an escape. You know, he took whatever little pop it gave him.
Craig tried to armbar him. I want to clarify that.
Tried to armbar him, yes. Yeah.
There's no tap.
No.
One other thing is that the dude,
go ahead.
The dude was breaking over his hip too. Like, I didn't see at any point to where he was doing the typical arch pinching the knees. Like, you know, when he brought it over, he was breaking across his left hip, which I think is the right way to do it when somebody's actively trying to hitchhike, right? Like, you have to go towards the head side in order to break, rather than trying to get it on your hip and do the proper pinching of the knees.
Yeah.
You won't get the pinch.
Yeah, you can tell this guy has worked on his armbar a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So last match against the same dude.
I wish he had a gi that matched, but whatever, it's fine.
A what?
I wish he had a gi that matched. You know,
yeah,
that would be good.
Yeah. Let's go back.
He pulled guard and tried to shoot for the armbar.
So yeah, he
That's
did.
what he was doing.
Yeah, and Steven stayed really well composed and hit that little leg drag. And then, I mean, so from here, yeah, we know what happens. On that leg drag, wait, let me go back. Sorry, I'm jumping around so much.
Yeah.
You know, you've gotten around here, right? Your next goal here is to get head and arm control and get chest to chest, right? Start pinning the shoulders. Of course, not to say that it's just that easy, right? But rather than gripping up here on the shoulder where you're at, you know, I would try to take a grip under, you know, a crossface under the head. I would probably swim out of that leg drag, come around, try to, you know, get my underhook on the far side.
So another option you can do from there, like especially if your arm is stuck and he's up on his side, is to come around almost like a north-south position. If you look, he's on his side in that position, right? He's kind of stuck. So if you can pin the hips, and then free your arm, which is a little tougher in gi than no gi, right there. There's always a dorsal Kimura waiting for you. So you come up on top, you pin the hips, you free your left arm. There's always that top side arm waiting for you to start to work that Kimura. And if the Kimura fails, you're always inside control or north-south. So some more options from there. But this is tricky in gi because you get so stuck with that sleeve grip, and if you leave an arm behind, you know, they can always try to redraw it and pull it back, and then use their hips to get deeper on your elbow.
Yeah.
And you can see his left arm comes up to frame underneath the armpit, because he's really trying to promote that angle change, right? Like he's trying to change his angle again, and regard and probably capture that other arm, right? I couldn't agree more. Like, I think from here you have to circle around to that north-south to beat that frame, because that frame will just collapse as you start working your body around the top side.
It looked like you got your arm free there for a second. You
switched the arm.
Yeah, and you
did.
I think.
Yeah, it went from left to right. Yeah.
I mean, so
which is a great transition, right? I mean,
yeah.
I would just
reach in. He got his left out, and then he went to go leg drag on the opposite side, and he caught that other right arm.
Yeah, and then I don't know, because he has his right arm free. He gets the left arm free. I would have I guess maybe he already had. I can't see what the kid's grip is doing, but I was gonna say, I mean, he's basically in a double underpass at that point. But it looked like the guy was able to get outside position with his knee, which he's gonna need, when he wants to get to the arm bar. He switches up into it here. Yeah, and again, the fact that this kid stayed pretty composed, hitting the arm bar from a few different angles, kind of just tells me he's really well practiced at those. All right, cool. You guys want to jump into Mitch's matches?
Let's do it.
It's fun to say. Right. So we've got, almost 30 minutes of footage of Mitch rolling today. So Mitch by far had like the busiest day of everybody. He had 8 different matches that day. So nothing else. Hang your hat on that. But also like the golds and shit that you won too is it's a good takeaway there. This was your first no-gi match and you're only one in your weight class. And we missed the initial takedown, but I don't think this guy was ready for the top pressure you were gonna bring.
No, I'd watched him earlier. I mean, very low level blue belt jiu-jitsu. I didn't say anything to Mitch before the match, but when I had watched him earlier, he was in a different division, and I was like, this poor kid's gonna have a rough day today. It just wasn't. There was no way he was gonna be able to move Mitch or do anything of substance. I think he won the match before this, but not by much. So I think at this point, I don't know if I had come over. I think I showed up to this one late because I was coaching somebody else. And I think right there, I was trying to talk through that underhook position versus the overhook. And if you go back like just a few frames, I just want to point out, so he's trying to play deep half in this position. You can see his right arm is underhooking the far leg there. He's trying to get underneath Mitch to move him. Because I think at this point he's realized, hey, I'm not going to be able to move this guy unless I get my hips under him, unless I start creating a little bit of momentum and I get underneath him. So if you just go back a little bit further, when Mitch has that overhead grip, so right there, and I think at this point I'm like, cross face, get your arm underneath the shoulder. And the reason I was saying that was because if you look, he's starting to play deep half guard. His left arm is overhooked Mitch's right arm on the far side. So one of the ways he can play this is he can say, all right, yeah, you have me in this front headlock position. You're not going to be able to guillotine me, right? Just very basic chin down. It's really tough to guillotine someone here unless you get it in a perfect spot. With that overhook, he can pinch the far side arm and then roll Mitch, right? Get underneath him, get in that nice solid deep half guard, and Mitch won't have a base anymore because he's tied up on an overhead strangle and the far side arm. So I was trying to get him to come across and cross face for that, like get rid of that deep half position. It worked, at the end of the day, he wasn't able to move Mitch anyway, but that was kind of the rationale behind that. That overhead grip, you can certainly pass with that method, but at some point, especially like when you start to get brown belt level, it stops working so well anymore because people realize they're not going to get choked there anymore.
Yeah. Really tried to shoot for that deep half there.
Yeah, and that's what I want to see right there. Right, he got totally stuffed. He went in for deep half, and he just met Mitch's bicep with his face. Right, that's not gonna work well when you're going deep half. Right here.
That was kind of a bonehead move on his part. Like,
yeah, it was dumb.
Mitch had already gotten his arm there, so.
Yeah.
Good head and arm control. Yeah, and so this is a position I was. This is kind of a position I was going over in class yesterday. We're working on side control right now, and I was touching on the shin pin, where you pin the guy's arm with your shin. In this case, he's committed pretty well to his deep half, even though it's long gone at this point. But if Mitch, if you can get your leg free, it looks like you're still in half guard, but this guy's legs are open. This is the perfect time to step out and around that guard and proceed either to right into mount, or into side control. But this is the having the arm pinned, the near side arm pinned and under your control is a excellent opportunity to enter into Kimuras on the far side arm, rear triangles. If you want to go the route of a strangle as well, and I could go over that with you a bit more. Okay, he didn't. I guess his legs are still caught, so hard to tell from that angle before.
So one other thing about that deep half position is as he's getting stuffed, you can tell that he didn't really understand the deep half position because he kept like trying to pummel for that underhook, right?
With the left arm.
With the left arm, he's going underneath Mitch's right arm, right? And like you can see, he's never going to win that pummel game, and even if he does, what the hell is he going to do with it? Because he's got his arm trapped, right? Yeah. The smarter move would have been from him to take his left arm and position it under Mitch's left arm and try and swim up underneath so that he can get deeper into half and then lock him up and then try and take him over.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that was a telltale as well, right?
I do the same thing. I go for that left side underhook, and it's a bad habit. It's like a safety blanket. Because I'm like, oh, I want an underhook on this side. The only advantage it really gives me is if I go deep half on the same side leg, it's there, right? But beyond that, it's a terrible thing to put your hand out. And if you're too shallow, it gives you, they can grab wrist control, and then you just have your hand out and you're in deep half guard, right?
Yeah. On top of that, too, I feel like if you're swimming for an underhook, let me get to where he was. If that's the battle you're trying to fight, the underhook across the back is the wrong position. Like you want to, this guy, I would think should bump Mitch forward, right, with his knees, get Mitch's head over top of his head, and then that underhook goes around the thigh or down to a tight waist, not up high over the back or anything like that. It's at that point it's an extended arm that someone like Mitch is just gonna whizzer, and hell, you might even break your arm with
a shoulder.
Mitch's whizzer. So Mitch does a just pinning him there, looks for a knee slide.
So that scared the shit out of me. I'm not gonna lie. Like when that happened, I was like, "Oh no, don't do that." But he was in on that leg.
That was had a knee bar.
Yeah, rear Ashi entry.
Yeah, hell yeah, it was. He was in on that.
We're laughing at you, Mitch, but like.
Yeah, but in a good way, because here, I mean, this is actually a phenomenal position. If you. Yeah. I mean, you got two options here, right? I thought maybe knee bar when you did it. That was where my head went. But honestly, you slide your knee in underneath that thigh right there, and you're nice, tight, like inside Ashi position there, where you have a lot of finishing power there.
Yeah.
Not what I was expecting to do, for sure. And at the time, I thought he might be digging in for a knee bar, but
Yeah, and the best way to finish those is to drive your cup directly into the kneecap of your black belt coach, just if you're ever curious.
Son of a bitch. No, it's not. No, it's not.
So, makings of a weave pass, but the guy's got his butterfly hook in. Just kind of flaring his knee out. And right here, something to keep in mind, Mitch. You're sitting kind of back on your haunches, which is okay. But this guy's, I don't know if he tries it. I can't remember what happened, but he kind of has a setup here for a sweep. If he was smart and took this arm and, grabbed your wrist or whatever, or took control of this arm, he's got the makings of a pretty easy sweep there. So just something to keep in mind as far as, positional awareness where you're at. Nice throw by there.
Yeah,
I don't know what he's trying to do with
with
your leg.
that leg.
Sorry.
You know what he's trying to do? Not get side control points. And you can see the ref doesn't call points there because he has that leg locked, and Mitch doesn't have side control yet. So yeah, and she does a good job. She waits until he gets that dominant position before she awards points. So
Yeah. All right.
So I don't know what he tapped to, whether that was a key lock or
I think-
a straight
yeah.
arm on the other side, or
I think he hit him with an Americana.
okay.
Yeah.
Ah,
you saw his
yeah,
elbow
I say
rise
no.
at the end.
Mm-hmm.
I think he also realized he was
A little
You know.
outmatched.
outmatched, right? There was not going to do anything better.
All right. So this match was actually way more fun to watch than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
I
It was
imagine,
exciting.
Mitch, I imagine you're still probably pissed off at this match. Says
With
he's
the
going
whole
to
time,
bed.
and
He
he's
doesn't want to
like-
watch it.
What the fuck?
I mean, this guy scoped me out on Instagram and he found me.
Oh yeah.
So he clearly wants to come to the school and come train. So
Cool.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I mean, which is fine. Like literally during this match, there's like 2 or 3 little tiny things you could do to pass his guard, like little tiny hip switches or changes that we can make to get past this guard. Right here is a great example, right?
Yeah.
Like to be able to drop your level, get your head out from between those legs, and you know this is a tough spot because he's got his knees in, so there's no points that are getting awarded. But honestly, dropping your level, sprawling back a little bit to disperse your weight in a different way, and you'll be able to flatten him back out as long as you pin his hips and don't let him spin. And this is an easy guard pass for you. There's a few times there where you had some options, you just weren't aware of what those options were. He had a decent guard, especially. You know, I think somebody told me afterwards he's a relatively new white belt. So, I mean, decent guard for sure, but he was doing just enough to not give you points pretty consistently.
Yeah, there's kind of a split second right here. This is so Mitch, when you first started coming to the school, this was you would hit these like kind of I don't know what you'd call it, but it's like a kind of a seated like throw by or whatever, right? You pin our hips on one side, you push our head on the other, and you kind of almost spin us around. And I'm pretty sure I'm like as tall and heavy as this guy, so I know exactly what he's dealing with right now. But right here, right, that's the opportunity. You've gotten around his legs. You've got to get your knee into the hip, like immediately, and that's with your body as low as it is here, and getting your knee in. That would have been your score for 2 points, but he was able to just pull his knee in. Right, he has his foot elevated, the sole of his feet pointing to the ceiling, and his knee down to the ground. That's not a guard pass, unfortunately, or fortunately if you're as big as he is. So I have no sympathy for you. But yeah, that's what was so frustrating about this match was how well this dude kept his guard in. He's obviously good at inverting, very turtled up, so that's you've got to get him on his back. That was really sweet.
Yeah, and just for that back take, just as a reminder, right? So to get points, you got to get your bottom hooks in. Both hooks need to be there, and then some sort of top side control. Seatbelt works great, but he did just enough, right? So you went to go take his back, and he reseated and got his guard back. So he got that knee back in, not quite half guard. It's more of an open guard position, but
Yeah, he's in that side guard.
Yeah, definitely no points. Yeah, definitely no points.
Yep. And shameless plug, I went over how to deal with side guard yesterday in class, and you weren't there, so whatever. I'll show you again, Mitch. Yeah, this kid looked like he had a leg entrance game or something that he wasn't showing off. Just saying that purely by his ability to invert.
I gotta be honest with you. I'm I've got the impression that he was purely defensive the entire time. And maybe that was just because Mitch's pace, or Mitch kept the pressure on him the whole time. But he was just reclaiming guard, right? I mean, over and over and over again. There wasn't a lot of danger that was going on. I mean, what I would have done to deal with him on those few times where Mitch got that side guard position is, especially for him, he likes to come through and really pin the hips with that weave or come across. Man, that's a great opportunity to continue that pass and pin the hips. Or he could also hip switch past the knee line, which is another great opportunity for him to get past that knee, right? Quick hip switch and get the knee back below your knees.
Yeah, which is that's a prime way to separate the elbow from the knee and then get the legs out from underneath you and out from bothering you. And then I swear to God, man, like I want to sit down with you and just learn really good wrestling throw-bys like that.
Right, yeah.
Those are so valuable, and you see them at like Olympic wrestlers do that stuff, and it's just beautiful and effortless.
Right off the collar tie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The next day, I was absolutely throwing Danny around on the Sunday 1 o'clock class. I was like, look at what I'm going to practice now. You know, he's a good practice dummy because he's way lighter. So I can just I could have somewhat, bad technique when I first start on a new throw or something.
Yeah, and for, if anybody was wondering right now, the score is still 0-0. Right, this match goes into overtime with.
This kid's got his frames are very. I mean, I would not have pinned him as a white belt, right? Like every time Mitch started circling around him, you see his hand stick up and like push into his hip, right? And then it gives him just enough time to invert his knee and get his guard back.
Yeah.
And I was with your comment, Matt. Like I thought he had some sort of leg game that he was trying to go for. The way that he was trying to hook up and go double hand on the knees.
Yeah.
But yeah, at that point, I don't think he could have like Luke said something later, right? Like no one even attempted or could even attempt to get Mitch off base in anyone that went against him. So
yeah, that wasn't even an option. Like he's got a solid base. And there was nobody that could off balance him, so it wasn't really worth their time to do so.
Yeah.
Right.
Really digging for a submission made more sense than anything. For this kid, personally, since he plays a lot of open guard and he's smaller, I think an easy pass would be some of the things we talk about with getting the knees together, right? We know he's playing open guard. He's leg pummeling. There's always an opportunity to pin both the knees together. Body lock passing would work phenomenally here because he's 100 pounds lighter, right? I mean, those are really easy passing techniques that you can use on someone who has a just flexible, really good guard and, is constantly pummeling back in. And I think that would be easy passes all day. And you eventually get it, but it just takes a minute.
Yeah.
As soon as you reset, you get it.
One thing I think, or another thing to brush up on for you, Mitch, is securing the back position. Like, I mean, that's why I stopped it right here. You're in a pretty good spot to start working, or you're in a really good spot to start working, just securing the back. And I honestly think, I mean, once you're there, you're like, when you get good at securing and fighting on the back, I'm probably not going to fight you anymore because it's going to be a real pain in the ass. But here, that's why you also didn't get points, right? So, your right leg in this case is on the outside. This leg hasn't quite hooked in yet. But once you get those two things and you have upper body control, that's a back take, right? So here, little things you can work on: pulling your knee up behind the head, and then swiveling around the guy, sitting to your butt, pulling him into your lap, and falling to your side. Just a very clean back take. Not a bad option here either. We'll tighten up your arm bars just because he was able to sneak out on that. So that's indicative to me of just a grip that needs to be improved.
Yeah, he decides to wrestle up here, realizes he made a mistake, which I don't know. I don't remember if it was his coach. Someone was telling him to do that.
Yeah.
And then he very astutely pulls guard back.
Yeah.
That's the right call, right? I mean, even if he was a decent wrestler, just the size difference, he should be pulling guard there. If this is chess, right?
And right here, like, you were fractions of a second away from points, right? You get, like, this is beautiful. This is right. This is exactly what you want. That's a beautiful pass. You honestly, I don't, maybe you guys can answer this. If he had held him here with the guy's back off of the mat but facing away, would he have gotten points on that? Or does his shoulders need to be down, or his back needs to be flat?
So I saw refs awarding points for this position almost all day.
Okay.
So I think 3 seconds here, he would have gotten his points. Even with the shoulders not pinned to the mat, I saw several times where refs were awarding points for that. So
okay, and then right here, as soon as you let go, it's a race back to guard, and what does he do? He gets his knee right in, right, and that's the time to shut down that side guard, and that's really all he needs. Sorry, go ahead, Mike.
No, I was just gonna say here, a simple hip switch to where if you were to sit to your left hip, would have cleared the knee, and you would have had side control very easily.
I didn't hear that. Could you try again?
Siri.
I think
Siri and some of that.
Secrets.
That so in that side control position, and you know, we're obviously working on that now at class, but the only reason he's able to regard that way is because the way Mitch does side control, he leaves space, right? And he has a good base doing it, but leaving space to get that knee line in just makes it so he can keep regarding over and over and over again. And there's little tiny things we can do to like fix to make sure that we don't have any space, but at the same time we keep that weight, that really good weight management, and keeping that solid base on there, because he's got the base figured out. We just got to figure out how do we take up all that space and make sure he can't get his knee back in.
Right. And I didn't know how to dictate this to you, Mitch, but I thought it would have been a good strategy here, right at the beginning of the 2-minute mark, to just like Jordan Burroughs style blast double this kid before he could pull guard, like just to get a quick two, right? Like as soon as the ref's hand drops, double, you know. But he sat to guard because that would have been immediate points.
Yeah,
it was a good strategy on his part.
Yeah, and just something to keep in mind if we find ourselves here. So there you go, right? Well, I can't see the far knee.
No, he got the pass. I mean, that to me, that's a pass, right?
Yeah.
The guy's trying to turtle up,
Mitch
and then he
like,
flattens him out.
Mitch like looks at the ref here. He's like, "What the hell, man?"
Yep. Now we got it.
But honestly, I'm not mad at that at all. Like,
nah, part of me gets it because there were so many other times he didn't, and he was probably sleeping on it a little bit. I think Mitch did the right thing, looking at the ref and being like, "All right, man, sometimes you gotta."
I think because of Mitch's frustration, he probably held the kid there to the point where it was just like,
I'm just gonna keep him here.
Yeah, are you not gonna give me my points?
So one difference between that pass and the ones that I think I remember from the beginning is the beginning ones. Mitch is going for the top arm and he's pinning single arm and shoulder down to the mat. What you see when he comes around here is he takes a V grip on that foot, pushes that away, it clears the hips, and he's able to sink down very, very low.
Yeah, you got your shoulders and your head super tight to the kid's body here, which is exactly what you want. That kid's escape from this position is getting a knee in underneath one of your shoulders.
And good fucking luck doing that at that point, right?
I just want to say, Mike, I do this to you.
All the time. All the time.
All the time. That's right. Spin you like a top, and then and that's how I get past your guard, right?
And going from that, Mike also does this to me. Same thing.
100%.
Flows downstream from the bigger guy to the smaller guy.
There you go.
Would have been nice if this was golden point, but what are you gonna do?
Yeah, preventing that turtle is tough, like you start going against people and you pass their guard, they turtle up, and it's not an easy feat to keep them on their side or on their back.
No, I really like when somebody turtles there. Yeah, they prevent the pass, but go tight waist grip, right?
Yeah.
Keep them pinned hip to hip, stay really tight on them, and then work towards a back take. I don't know what that look was, but he's pissed.
I can't remember what we were saying. Yeah. And then
that was
just
poor guy.
Yeah, that was a great match.
There was no need to break his poor shoulder.
Good match.
He seemed pretty flexible.
All right, I can watch this one and then I gotta go. But this one was good. Was this the big takedown one where his coach told him to stand back up?
Yes, I think so. Yeah, I think right here.
Oh my god.
He took him down in gi, but this is.
Well, there was a good like I can't remember. It's like a shoulder throw basically. I want to say right here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. He hit the same one in gi against the same dude, I think.
And the coach, bless his heart, was like, stand back up. Like halfway through the match, he starts yelling, stand back up. And I was like, I just had to hide my face because I was like, oh my God, don't do that. Please don't do that.
Please stand back up.
Yeah.
So
don't make him stand back up. He just got thrown like a child. Yeah. Like, don't make him do that.
Yeah.
And keep him on his butt.
Mitch, feel free to chime in on this, and you know, if I'm getting any of my technique explanation wrong, I'd rather hear it from you. But something I think that a lot of jiu-jitsu guys are afraid to do with some of these like more dynamic throws is throw themselves into the move. Like you basically have to fall. You know, these are all kind of sacrificial in a way where you're committing to the fall just as much, right? And you could see, you know, I've talked a lot lately about during takedowns, a huge part of it is getting the head outside the feet, right? Outside of the base. And then Japanese wizard. Yeah. Sorry, I had to allow that.
So, can you do this one? Can you do this one real slow?
Yeah, absolutely.
So this takedown, personally, it works really well. It also scares the hell out of me.
Sure.
The reason I'm not sold on this yet, it's explosive and technical, and it works really well, is right there. So right now he had a collar tie, and that just transitioned to a strangle. And you know, if this is such a timing thing, and Mitch is being super explosive, and obviously he's able to finish the throw, but right there is where a strangle can happen. And if he follows through with that strangle and gets hooks, then you just have to be on your back and you haven't finished your takedown. Now this guy's got to make a choice, right? Bald guy's got to make a choice of whether he wants to face plant and get the choke, or whether he wants to go with this and maybe live to fight another day. That's a decision he has to make as a man. But right there, you know, he's already lost it, but halfway through that transition, there's a strangle there. And it's kind of like judo, right? Where, you know, there's that moment where you go back to your partner.
Yeah. And you know, to that point, if the other dude's stance was more square here and he was more upright, absolutely not the time to do that move, right? Because that's, you know, you're trying to pull a steady guy off of his base, but you could tell his head is out front of his feet. His foot is back. He's pushing off the mat. You could see his heels, you know, elevated off the mat there. So I imagine Mitch was feeling this guy pushing into him at that time, which is exactly when you'd want to hit this move, because it mitigates that, right? That's absolutely still a danger, but much more so if the guy has a steady base. Whereas now, Mitch throws himself to the mat and says, "I'm taking you with me," right? He commits to the turn.
Yeah, with all that being said, I want to do this. It's badass.
Yeah.
Do more of this.
Mitch is saying if you can stop him while he's in that movement, you'd be the first one. And
yeah.
then, and also he said exactly what you said, Matt, which is you can't do it without the pressure in. So you definitely can see the guy pushing into him, which gives him, which this is kind of like a side Seonagi, right? Or, you know, whatever you want to call this, right? But it's what judo would call a Seonagi, and but it's like a sideways one, which is really cool to see.
Yeah, you're not like in a drop Seonagi, you're going between the legs,
right?
As opposed to this one where you're going to the outside.
And he's in like a roll. He's like twisting, whereas the Seonagi is over top of the shoulder, like very square back, you know, high amplitude throw. This one is a lower amplitude, but devastating if you land on your freaking head like this guy did.
And Mitch, I don't know if you had learned the lesson from the last match, because these are in order, I believe. But you were keeping your shoulders really tight to his chest, you know, as he was trying to drive his knees back in between you and him. So that was really good. And yeah, one thing I was talking a lot about at class yesterday was, so you could, I'm pretty sure we could say that this guy has his forearm frame in. Yeah. I would rather see him framing the hips here, and getting his foot above his own knee. So elevating his foot above this line, right? And then that's the makings of the side guard. That's what would allow him to slip that knee in a little bit easier. And then, you know, Mitch, for you to negate that, that's where we like to walk down towards the legs, get the knees pointing away from us, you know, pressure his hips and his knees so that they're pointing away from us. And then, you know, you have some options from there as far as how you want to like pin the forearm and work from side control. Here's another great opportunity to take the back, right? If you had gotten your legs in, that would have been points right there.
And this is the rest of the match.
Yeah.
Right here, I think his coach does encourage him to stand up at some point, and he thinks about it. Even I think he even like thinks about it, and then eventually he does it, and it's just a bad time for him. But
I'm gonna speed up some of these a little bit just to make sure.
Bad coaching, you know.
Yeah, just not knowing your opponent.
These guys get so caught up in schools of like, oh, this people just sit guard, they don't do takedown. They get so caught up in these, you know, pissing contests that they don't think about the fact that this is 100% strategy, and you know, there's no need to get caught up in those things. Yeah, play to your strengths, you know.
Yeah, I remember at one point, I think it was during Mitch's matches, it was either this coach or someone else was saying,
that was the time where the coach was saying, stand up, stand up.
Yeah, yeah, he was like, I don't want to see any of that guard pulling crap. Like, I want to see you going for a takedown. And it's like, oh man, you don't know who you're up against.
Yeah, it was a bad decision on that.
Like, you should, you know, Mitch doesn't exactly hide the fact that he's a great wrestler because he just wrestles people down. And yeah, Mitch, I totally understand. Like, this is the positions you were getting right now, like, you know, catching your breath. Call it stalling, call it whatever you want, but like, again, you had 8 matches. You just had an 8-minute match before this. You know, it's perfectly fine being tired. You get a guy into a position where you're dominant. Take a breather, man. Especially if he's doing a real crappy job of trying to get his knees in, trying to get his guard back. You take the time you need to catch your breath, especially when you know you've got more matches ahead of you. So this was the next match.
All right, for real, I have to go, but I'm going to do this one real quick.
All right, yeah. This one doesn't go distance. So this guy had the benefit of seeing you before too, right? So keep that in mind. You know, he could kind of plan and strategize. All right, this guy wrestles really well. You know, maybe he wrestles a bit too, but he definitely has jiu-jitsu, a jiu-jitsu mindset and a jiu-jitsu strategy in this match.
So I just want to call out how good the ref is. The ref called points on that, which is absolutely the right call there. So Mitch initiated the takedown there, and it became, he realized and made it a guard pull, but the ref was like, no. This was the start of a takedown and gave points, which is absolutely the right call to do that.
That was, I didn't even notice that. That was a good point. So this hopping guard pass is super sick when it works, right? A way to make this work a little bit better is getting his knees together, right? His legs were open in a you know, a ready to go kind of position, right? So you hop over and he just kind of has the pick of the legs at this point, right? Which is what happened. He goes in for his ashi. Not much concern there about the reap. So gets you off balance, which is essential. He either wants to put you on his butt or get you, you know, falling forward, getting your hands to the mat, whatever.
So Mitch did a really good job here. Like left hand back of the head, he's crunching his partner forward to help him drive that left foot back, which is the right way to escape this. In my opinion, I feel like he put himself in a bad spot, right? He went for that jumping guard pass, but didn't maybe have the knees clamped the way they needed to. Maybe wasn't able to drop his knees to the mat fast enough, but he's fixing it right now, right? Pulling the head towards him, driving his left foot back.
Yeah, so he said that he may not have gone straight for the pass if he knew that he got the 2 points for the takedown. He would have probably taken his time there.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So, was reaping allowed in intermediate?
Yeah.
Okay.
Inside and outside. It just says heel hooks and reaping are fine for intermediate and expert.
Okay. Yeah, so... go back.
So I would... Quick. So I'll give my 2 cents on this heel hook, and then you guys can chime in. So I think this is a relatively shitty heel hook with poor technique. I think that this is something that we could absolutely work on, like as far as escapes go. We have 2 weeks of leg stuff that's coming up, like not too far from now. And this is such an easy fix. Like I'm not sweating it. It sucks it happened, but I mean, if you look at the way he was able to. Really, he alleviates his own knee line when you go a little bit further. Like he doesn't really have it right now, but he goes from a better position, right? He's got that triangle position, and he switches at some point, and that top side leg just stops dropping pressure at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like right here, like he kind of lets go of that, or Mitch forces the disengagement of that Senkaku, and then if you look at where Mitch's heel is right now, it's all the way back in like the crook of the elbow. Like that thing's all the way buried, and he's just trying to rip it, right? This is like an old school like, I got your heel, I'm gonna try to rip it type technique, and we can fix this. This is super fixable, I think, a defense standpoint.
Yeah, and I think he's also just in that standing position is exactly where you want to initiate your defense, just to that point. The thing, Mitch, that you're going to have to get used to here and get comfortable with, I know it still hurts.
I'm sorry, buddy.
Is when he doesn't have control over your hip, he doesn't have a heel hook, right? So recognizing when that control is compromised or just not even, like just non-existent, even with that grip on your heel and some torque on the knee, right? You're normally pretty safe. You know, there are exceptions to that. You know, if you panic and spin the other way, like that could be bad. But it's a matter of getting comfortable in that position. And from there, it gets a lot easier.
Yeah, and I know it sucks to hear, but there were so many good escape, like the escape attempt before then. There were so many good things about it, right? Drawing his partner forward. If you go back and then,
yep,
I'll hop off, but just during that escape attempt, the first one, sorry.
In this match?
A little bit further back. Yeah, right here. So obviously he has a leg isolated here. Mitch comes up with that left and does the right thing. His foot planted on the mat, which really stops the heel exposure. He's got some weight on that now, and I think he grabs the back of the head here.
Mm-hmm.
So, right, which is awesome. Now that left leg has to go all the way back, almost like a sprawl, right? He's got to get that away from his opponent right now, and his opponent does a good job of off balancing him, which eventually does expose the heel, and that's where it's such a tricky thing. This position, because his weight's completely above his opponent, and that's why he's able to kind of move him back and forth a little bit.
Yeah.
I think that's why the sprawl is so important, right? Because the sprawl indicates that the weight is going to be on your further distributed back rather than head side here. So the guy on bottom could at this point hip up and start taking Mitch over the head here, and that would have been a solid movement and finish. I don't think that's what he does, though.
No, he doesn't, and that would have been a definitive heel exposure if he could do it.
Yeah, exactly. And right.
This is to be clear, this is not an easy spot to get out of.
No.
There's so many different options for him to be able to back out of. But yeah, this that's obviously it's a scary position. I thought he did a good job of maintaining composure though, and like I said, I'm super proud of the way he like we literally went over this I think the week before he competed, just this like little transition out of this, and he remembered it and was able to do it. So
one I'll throw my 2 cents in here too. Even before that point, a few seconds from now, where like a sprawl would have been really good. Right here, and this is why composure is super important with leg lock escapes, because they're big and scary and they hurt, when you don't tap. But right here, if you're calm, you recognize the situation, you got your foot flat rather, standing up to an upright posture, getting your left hand on his foot and your right hand on his knee, and just splitting this gap open. That's the beginnings of a real early escape there. And like I said, right now he's got your leg under control. What he wants next is put your butt on the mat or put your hands on the mat, right? So you may, it's easy to say that in a freeze frame. You may have some momentum there that you're working against, but just something to keep in mind.
But even in this position, my preference is to stand as you're doing here, but I'm always trying to keep my foot flat on the mat.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm always trying to stand, and then like Matt said, I'm addressing the feet, upright posture. You got to keep your back leg away, otherwise your opponent's going to switch to hit the other leg. But yeah, everything you said, right, is maintaining composure, getting to your feet, and breaking those legs open is a good way not only to escape but to start counterattacking, right? If you were able to take your left leg over top of his left leg, then you have the makings of your own, either if you wanted an outside heel hook or a 50-50 position if you wanted to hit an inside heel hook.
Yeah, it doesn't get hurt any less though when those hit.
Yeah,
it sucks, especially with those knee injuries. So all right, boys, I'm out of here.
All right. See you, Luke.
Later. Right, see you.
All right, let's pause this. Get you back in line.
But yeah, we'll keep going over the leg stuff. I mean, like you said, Matt, they're big and scary, and but I feel like the more you have to, the only way to train them is to train with them, right? And
you can never
get
practice them
comfortable.
too much.
Any of them, right? I mean, the same thing can be said about triangle escape, right? So it's just another part of the body that you gotta be aware of. Another great pass. I think this was another easy match for Mitch in terms of very much outclassed his opponent.
Yeah, for sure. And this is only your fourth one. You still have 4 more to go. I think you've got 1 more no-gi and then 3 in the gi.
Yeah, that was pretty crazy. That was a big day.
Sorry, I'm texting Cole telling him that he's up next. So yeah, another good example of shutting down an entrance to deep half. I mean, even with Luke, man, whenever Luke tries to get me with that stuff, the crossface is the kryptonite. Unless you're Tom DeBlas.
I really like how Mitch hugs the back as well. Makes it very difficult to hip out and regard.
Yeah.
So that was another good example of how he took him out there.
That was sorry to interrupt. He was doing a really good job of spider walking that hand up and isolating the arm from mount, which is exactly what you want to do. Here, this guy's in a lot of trouble. He's belly down. You got hooks in. I think you're about to get points for it. Yeah.
I think you get the tap right here, right?
I think, yeah. Just bends his back a little bit. Yeah, that was a good match. That was really tactically. All right, what happened here?
I think that was it though, right?
No, it looks like it looks like my video didn't compile the rest of the gi matches or the rest of your matches, Mitch. Let's give me 1 second. Either that or this stupid program isn't reading it. So let me just try to read them back in. Yeah, it looks like it's not reading all the matches. Go to my raw video. I'll fix that, and we'll just have to. We'll go over the matches soon. But it looks like that's it for now, Mitch. For you, we'll cover the rest of your matches at the next one. That's just iMovie pooping the bed. All right, so we got Cole up next. All right, so Cole's first match. No gi. We'd worked a lot with, just giving him some good go-tos in the standing game, working arm drags. You see him kind of reaching for one there. I mean, whenever that was a nice shot, but excellent composure.
Great reversal
from Cole. Yeah, I mean, just like the kid gets heavy on the head, right? Cole's not even looking at him; he's looking flat, right to the mat. And then he ditches the head. Cole looks up, and the kid's not even there anymore. He's under the hips, right? So he goes in on this blast double, gets behind the knees. Steps that side leg up, the drive leg, his left leg in this case, and is taking him on an angle out to the side, but Cole hits this body lock position and just keeps him going, which I think we've all experienced with Cole before. And then he stays on it, man, and ends up getting into this almost to a mount position, right? He gets his leg caught here. I'm going to go back just to watch that all one more time. Look at the Cole right here, like that. Just that flexibility and getting up and around to the mounted position was really impressive.
We've been working a lot lately on just kind of flattening out, right, and maintaining a good balance, and I know that's what Luke was probably shouting right here. Was he's trying to get Cole's hips down, because he likes to ride really high. And while it puts tremendous pressure, if somebody's able to get up underneath those hips, he can get overturned, right?
Yeah.
But he does very, very well of kind of recognizing it. Here he lets up enough on his grip to where he threatens almost a back take, right?
Yeah.
So the guy's starting to come over as if like he's gonna oopa, and he winds up bailing out because Cole leaves it alone, bases out really well, and then starts driving onto the shoulder.
I just want to go back to a little bit further to that point, right? So I think Cole, I can't tell when he gets his foot free or if he does at this point, but one thing he did right from the get-go when he re-rolled this guy was the dude's arms are isolated, right? They're like up over his head. They're not effective frames. This kid can't elbow escape from the mount or do anything like that. So what does that leave him with? Probably a sense of panic and a heavy bridge, right? And that's what you were just talking about, Mike. Like Cole's got his base isn't very wide up top, but he's got at least the guy's left arm under control. As he bridges heavily, Cole puts his head to the mat. It looks like his left arm comes, or his Cole's right arm comes out a little bit. So that may have gotten the kid's base freer there, but Cole kept the hip, the high hip position, right, to put him back down. And now he just burned a bunch of energy with that explosive bridge,
Big
right?
bridge. Yeah.
And then he goes to try it again, and Cole's like, I already know that you're about to try that, so it's not going to work. I think here Cole might be looking for an Americana.
He's going straight arm. He gets that straight arm.
Okay.
Yeah. I know it just from because he does it on friggin' everybody.
Yeah. He gets the dub. So this was a great match. Really, really great match. It's funny too. This guy posted on the BJJ Fanatics Facebook page about.
Oh really?
About how I can't recall his name now, but I think he took double gold that day.
Oh nice. I think there's a lot. What I really like about this match with just in Cole's activity, not only does he dominate the entire match, you know, technically wise through the, you know, to the end, but he's always going for a sub. Like he's always reaching over. He's going for that Kimura. He's got 2 on, or he's like trying to do something on that side, and eventually winds up getting a sweep here, I believe.
Cole apparently
active.
is watching, and I'm trying to get him in the chat, but he said it was an Americana on that last match, not
Was
a
it?
straight armbar, and his wrist sounded like celery when he did
Nice.
it. So
Good. He deserved it. No, he actually seemed like a really nice guy.
So yeah, Cole. Sorry to interrupt before, but it looked like he was really trying to work a Kimura. I'm gonna go back just a little bit because a few things to note when you're going for a Kimura from guard, and it looks like Cole kind of has the opportunity here, right? He's got to get the grip broken, but a big thing that shuts us down super easily, if anybody is defending something like this, is getting your head in the center of the chest, right? Notice how close Cole's head is to the guy's shoulder. That gives him the opportunity to dig on that arm, right? So if his opponent had been more up on his center line, on Cole's center line, it would have shut down the Kimura attempt, and he could have focused on passing Cole's open guard right now, right? Pinning the right leg and going around or whatever else he wanted to work. And did you say all that already?
No.
All right.
Nope. But yeah, the guy's coming around and he's trying to do this rugby pass where he's trying to scoop the legs and hug the legs.
Yeah.
And Cole's doing a really good job of keeping his legs apart and not allowing the guy to. I thought he was going to get the sweep right here, but the dude just keeps like pressuring in. You can see how he's always driving his knees up. Makes it very difficult to hit that type of sweep. But when you're in a closed guard, or like when your legs are around somebody, like you really want that to happen when somebody is in a butterfly. Like if you're in a butterfly position, you've got somebody driving into you. That's priming sweeping, which is what happens right here. He gets one butterfly hook in, takes advantage of the guy driving into him. So now the guy's weight is on top of Cole's chest.
Yeah.
So all Cole has to do is push up with his left leg here, and he'll get the sweep.
Yeah.
He has very little to base out with on the far side that you can't see. He scoots it in. Boom. Then
Yep.
he has his arm wrapped around Cole.
Yeah.
He took away his own base by doing that.
Yeah. Right here.
Yep.
And rolling up, and so strategically, and I don't know if Cole was thinking about this when he did it, but he rolled into side control and not to mount, right? That gave Cole an opportunity to then score additional
More
points,
points.
right? He got points on the sweep, I think.
Yeah.
And then, oh, hello.
Yeah, they scoot out.
And then you can get points on the knee on belly. You can get points on the mount, right? Just racks up points here. In fact, I can't remember. I wish we had a shot of the scoreboard, but Cole was up. I think Cole was up like 8-6 or 8-4, something like that. Like, really good attempt. One thing I'd love to see here a little bit better. A lot of us get like kind of myopic once we get under the neck or even close to under the neck, and then we just get into grip it and rip it mode. But this, this is where you want to keep your composure, keep your control, right? This guy's going to be fighting for his neck in this, but what Cole needs to be doing right now is shifting his hips out to get back behind him again, right? This guy's almost escaped at this point.
Yeah, you want your spines aligned, right? Like they need to be completely parallel to each other, for you to really get. Because I mean, at this point, like we talk about a few different things when we talk about the back, right? One being that spine alignment, but also Cole's head it's not at he can't get it onto the opposite side of the choke right now.
Yeah.
Right? Like he can't get it onto the other end, which would really secure the choke. So in order for you to choke or start the strangle, is for you to get your head on the opposite side of the strangle arm.
Yeah.
So in this case, Cole has his right arm around the neck, the strangle arm. His head would have to be right where that arrow is on the left side, on the opposite shoulder, and really driving that head against his head to force the head into the choke, or into the strangle. I haven't switched over to the Danaher strangle terminology yet.
Yeah. This is, very much a recoverable position here. We're in 3/4 mount. This isn't a bad spot to be in, but you are going to have to fight the elbow escape, which his opponent successfully executed there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he kept his composure. He did good.
Yeah, and this is something I still struggle with, and I'm always working on too, is like mount retention, right? Cole started going to isolate the arm. Great. It's exactly what you want to do in that position, but he started to get off balance, and now it's a battle for hip height, right? And we can see that his opponent wins that battle here. So he got 2 points on that sweep. I think at this point it's like 8-6.
Yeah, but he gets it overturned right here.
Yeah, and then that's where it happens, right? So let's go back a bit. So Cole gets the sweep. And right here, as he's coming up, his opponent escapes to guard, right? Cole just leaves his arm extended, right? He's planted on the mat here. He locks up this arm bar. And, to Cole's credit, this was the arm that got injured previously. So I think any one of us in this position would have tapped early rather than feeling another pop again.
For sure.
So I know I would. But either way, man, I mean, Cole's going to be harder on himself than anybody. But that was a really well-fought match where he controlled the pace of that a lot and was super strategic, very dominant. That's exactly what we want to see. And then here's the rematch later on the day in Gi. Really, really good collar drag there. Something that, I think the best way to get good at defending those is to just have them done to you a million times, being ready to step over, which Cole was. He got almost got back up,
and that guy had been doing it to everyone in every match.
Okay,
that was his thing. And for Gi, that's what he kept doing.
Right.
So I thought that was a really cool, like a really good on his part. It was just sensing that the guard was open, and I can't remember if his coach told him that or not. But I was like, damn, that was very good timing, right?
Yeah, and that's, good example of, why it pays to be a good listener during a match, right? Cole's in a great spot, coaching wise, because he's got Luke yelling at him right there while he was working a half guard, but. Yeah, that was slick. You saw his foot come up, just kind of feel for it, and then he said, "Oh, I'm free," and he jumped out.
Yeah, and the reason that he can do that, and I know if Steven's still on in the chat, the reason why he can be so nimble with his legs like that, right, is because he has a solid chest-to-chest connection. If he didn't have that solid chest-to-chest connection before he started that pass, it would have been very easy for Cole to sit up. And start to get his legs up and get in between. But the fact that he had his chest pinned, Cole couldn't do anything. He couldn't see. He couldn't really feel for much. So overall, it was a good pass.
Yeah. So Cole's working some inside butterfly there for a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Or rather, butterfly hooks on the inside position. That's what I mean.
And we're in the same position that we just were, or that he started out in, basically, right? He's in half guard here. Legs were locked up.
Right, so this is where you got to deal with shoulder pressure. I think Cole has a really good sweep here, where he tries taking him one way. Dude really pressures in, so Cole decides to take him the other way, and it was just super clean. Just good fundamentals. I think it was in this match.
He just drew.
That was so, man, that was frustrating to watch. Because everything about this looks really good, right? So I'm pretty sure Cole has the guy's arm under control on the far side. He's got this butterfly hook. And the most important thing that I really drive into people here is using that lagging foot, or the bottom foot to drive off the mat, right? So you can see Cole sets it up. He gets his foot on the mat, and right there, he just starts driving through on that, which is the best way to get extra drive into these sweeps. The way you do it, though, with that foot planted, your next goal is to get your hips up really high, right? Pressure your hips up off the mat. So he's turning
Like
into
you
him
said it.
right there. I think maybe a bit more hip height, but it's, that's a people shut that down on me a lot too. But that's the makings of a proper butterfly sweep. So
That was nice. That was a nice reversal.
that was the one that I was alluding to before, right? So go back
Grabs the
before
shoulder, pushes on the hips. Boom.
Go back even further before. So to the butterfly sweep, or the hook sweep, whatever you want to call it. Right? He's pressuring. Cole says, all right, I'll take you the other way. So the guy, I don't know why, but he didn't have his base out, and he was way overextended here. So pushing into him, and then he decides, I'm going to take you this way.
Yep.
So that was
He
really,
immediately puts up those frames, but Cole
yeah.
really having it,
Yeah, and this was a little risky on Cole's part too. Just immediately after that, loading himself up over the guy.
Yeah.
If the other guy elevated his hips, Cole would have to base out and everything. But gives up 3/4 mount here. So right, from here, your focus has got to be getting that foot free.
Yeah, getting past the guard. And I mean, he's in Scorpion Lock, a lockdown position here, right? Like, these are never easy, especially when you're in the gi, especially when you're in competition. But keeping a bend in that leg, like what Cole has here, and then raising your hips up, like it seems very counterintuitive.
Yeah.
But that bend in the leg is exactly what you want, and then you have to use your left foot position to elevate your hips so that you can start driving your knee line.
Yeah, it really, it can be as stupid simple as just heel to butt and then flaring to the outside,
Right,
to get the
to
foot
shake
free.
that hook.
Yeah. Another good thing I like to do is with my, if he's like following me up as I pull the heel to the butt, I'll use my other foot to pressure on this guy, the other guy's foot right here, the one that's kind of hidden, to try to strip the Scorpion off of the leg. But
with Cole's left leg, like heisting
Yes.
up and peeling it off.
yeah, so as opposed to, like your option that you talked about, another good thing, like Kurt does this to me all the time when we roll. He loves using a lockdown, but pulling the heel up and then using my free leg to push on what would be, in this case, the opponent's left foot, and kind of pushing it down towards his other foot opens up that lock pretty well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess the real key is, and what Cole is doing a really good job of here, is not straightening that leg.
Yeah.
Because, you know, not only will you never get past the lockdown by straightening the leg, it also puts tremendous pressure on the knee, and it could be bad, right?
Yeah.
So, good job recognizing that.
And yeah, I mean, this is the cool part where Cole's mouth is bleeding and he looks like a tough guy. Yeah, the other guy's not really doing much in the way of creating space. You know, he's kind of using his lockdown weakly. Maybe he's biding his time. I don't want to take credit away from him. You know, he does move him around here. He's gotten Cole's hips over him, which is a good thing. But he doesn't appear to be doing too much with it at this point, right? Cole's really pressuring on the head, working those overhooks. But yeah, I mean, this is just a good case for why, you know, when you feel that lockdown, come on, stay composed.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was points.
That was it.
Yeah, I believe that was the end of the match.
Yep.
Yeah, time. So that guy won on points on that match. Didn't get the submission, and just kind of stalled out there at the end for the lockdown position. But other than that, I think we're gonna call it on the stream for the night. So thank you guys for tuning in. I'll get this loaded up on YouTube, so if you had to tune out, you can watch it later. As always, you know, any questions you may have, bring them to class. If you're just lurking and you don't have a screen name and your name is Cole, make one and jump in the chat, hit us up, and we'll see you guys soon. Take it easy.
Thanks, everyone.